Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex and today I want to quickly go over my 26 books that I would like to read in 2026. Now I do own about 15 of these, but I already had all the book covers saved from doing my Instagram post for this over on Insta if you want to follow me at BuffRMD Reads. And just for the sake of ease and just wanting to get this video up, published ASAP, and I did do a lot of content today, but a lot of short form reels and Instagram things. I wanted to get on here and go over this list at the beginning of the year. I don't want to put it off any longer. So let's just jump right into it. And as usual, these are in no particular order. I've written them down in one order. I put them on my Instagram post in another order. I might mix it up and talk about them in another order. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just want to read these books. There is one that I'm going to save until the end because I just finished it today. And considering that I was a little late in filming this video, I'm still including it, but we're just gonna save it for the end because it's the last one that I'm gonna chat about since I just finished reading it like 30 minutes ago. Okay, first book on this list is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is book 3 in the Legendborn cycle, and I have read books 1 and 2. I have forgotten completely pretty much everything that happens. I remember the premise, which is about a young girl that goes to some sort of like gifted student program and then finds out that there's magic on campus. This is loosely based on the legend of Arthur, and it's really fun. I did find book 2 it kind of lost me a little bit with the magic system, so I think my plan is I don't really want to reread them, but there's some great blogs and YouTube channels that do recaps for us. I appreciate the effort that you guys do. I'll probably see if I can watch or listen to something along those lines to recap books 1 and 2, and then I would like to jump into Oathbound. I do have the physical for this. I do also have the audiobook on my Libby shelf right now. I probably won't be able to renew it, so we'll see if I get to it via the audiobook or if we read it physically later on this year. Next book on the list is The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman. Now, this is book 4 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. That shit always tongue ties me every single time. I have read books 1 through 3. I read them on Kindle Unlimited. I do also own the entire series except for number 7 now physically. I wanted to reread books 1 through 3 via the audiobook, but I'm pretty sure that they're Audible exclusives and I don't really want to give them my money, so I don't have an Audible, and that makes me sad because a lot of people recommend the audiobooks. So I wish that would stop happening, but we'll see. I'll either reread them physically or I might just bite the bullet and purchase the audiobooks, or we'll see. But this series is really fun. It's very popular over on Instagram and I'm sure TikTok. I don't do that. But in BookTube, it is very lit RPG. It reads like a video game. It's very fun. It has a talking cat. Y'all know I'm a cat lady. So I had a lot of fun with this series so far. I would say that book 1 has been the strongest one so far in the series for me, but I have heard really good things about book number 4. So I do want to reread these books, and as much as I don't want to give Amazon any more of my money, I am really interested in the audiobooks because so many people recommend them. So I might purchase them just like full price and not even sign up for a credit situation. The next 2 books on this list I'm going to include together, so 2 up on the screen. It is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I have read The Hunger Games. I have not read, I have read the original trilogy. I have not read either of these 2 newer iterations. I haven't seen the new movies. The original trilogy and the original movies are some of my favorite YA of all time to ever exist, or really just my favorite anything of all time to exist. And I'm very actually disappointed in myself that I haven't read these 2 newest books, so I don't own them. I'm gonna see if I can borrow them from the library. In fact, after I get through my most recent library haul, I think I will put a hold on these 2, and once they come up, that will be a priority. In fact, maybe let me know in the comments if this is something that would interest you, but I might do a spoiler-filled like weekend reading vlog reading those. I think that would be fun. Next on this list, I'm actually also gonna include these 2 books together because I'm being a little lazy. They are by the same author, but they're 2 separate series. So we have book 2 in the Great Silence trilogy by Richard Swan, and that is Steel Gods. And then I would also really like to get to The Justice of Kings, which is book 1 in his, I'll put it up on the screen because I can't remember, Tyranny Tyranny something trilogy. I can't remember. But these books are, I believe, based in the same overall universe, kind of like a Brandon Sanderson Cosmere type of situation, but they take place on 2 different timelines. I have not even started the Justice of the Kings trilogy. That's why book 1 is on this list. I did read Grave Empire by Richard Swan, which is book 1 to Steel Gods, but that comes out in March and I'm so effing excited for it to come out. Grave Empire, if you watch my top 10 video, I will link it somewhere up here, was one of my favorite reads of 2025. So those 2 books by that author are 1000% going to be on this list. Next on this list, I have a book that I actually know nothing about, and that is Novella, and that is by Paolo Bacigalupi. Now, I have A, probably butchered that last name, and B, not even looked up the synopsis for this. A very popular Instagrammer, Shanasaurus Reads, has talked about this book a lot over on her page, and I just love the cover, and I think it's just a standalone fantasy, which I want more of this year. As much as I love series, I would love more standalones of my favorite genre. Okay, we're gonna read the synopsis together. You must be as sharp as a stiletto's dagger and as subtle as a fish beneath waters. This is what it is to be Navalese. This is what it is to be de Reguli. In Novola, a bustling city-state dominated by a handful of influential families, business is power and power is everything. For generations, the de Reguli family, merchant bankers with a vast empire, has nurtured tendrils that stretch to the farthest reaches of the known world. Although they claim not to be political, their staggering wealth has bought cities and toppled kingdoms. Soon, Devico de Reguli will be expected to take the reins of power from his father and demonstrate his mastery of the games of Navalese, knowing who to trust and who to doubt and how to read what lies behind a smile. But in Novola, strange and ancient undercurrents lurk behind the guilt and grandeur, like the fossilized dragon eye in the family's possession, a potent symbol of their raw power and a talisman that seems to be summoning Devico to act. With echoes of Renaissance Italy, The Godfather, and Game of Thrones, Novola is a stunning feat of world building and a mesmerizing depiction of drive and will. Wow, that sounds fun. There's a lot of 5 stars here, so I'm really excited to get to that one, and I do also own it right there next to the Everlasting. Okay, next book on this list is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White, and I just recently finished another book by this author, You Weren't Meant to Be Human, and I absolutely was blown away by it. It was so horrific, still one of the most depressing books I've ever read, and this book seems to have some similar themes, but a little bit more whimsical. It's about someone, a young person named Silas, who is having also gender identity issues, and I just read the synopsis, and I was gonna try not to like read the synopsis for every single book on this video, but he is a medium, I think, under the watchful eye of the Royal Speaker Society. Okay. Silas Bell would rather rip out his violet eyes than become an obedient speaker wife. Okay, so he's basically being sold off to be someone's wife, and he gets shipped to a sanatorium and finishing school. Ghosts of missing students start begging Silas for help. Okay, so we have a medium dealing with gender identity issues and probably gonna have some ghost themes going. I think this is going to be a little bit more whimsical than You Weren't Meant to Be Human, so I'm interested to see what this author does with this premise, which I do think sounds pretty interesting. Next on this list is Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is book 1 in the Malazan world, and all I know is that this is a very expansive, epic fantasy world and series. There's magic, there's witches, there's dragons, there's mages. It feels like it's going to be very Game of Thrones. This was a recommendation from someone over on Instagram. I had posted, just give me some recs, and a handful of people responded, so thank you if you did. So I have seen this book floating around for quite a few years. I don't own it. I don't have any plans on purchasing right now because the reviews seem to be mixed. It does seem like something I would be interested in though, so I definitely want to give it a chance, but I'll just borrow it from the library because that is part of my intentions, especially reading wise for this year, is to use the library as much as possible. Next on this list is another one that I own, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book, I think, in the Stolen Heir, the Cruel Prince trilogy. I don't know. But all I know is that this is a very beloved, I think, YA trilogy with another world, perhaps, a set of books that are attached to it. And it's light romantasy. All I know is that I have owned it for years. It's one of the oldest books on my shelves. I do own it. And I just put it on this list to get myself to crack it open and give it a try. I am 50-50 on if I will be interested in this, if I will DNF, or if I will continue, because it does seem pretty young and I don't know if that's something I want to spend my time on. But I put it on this list so I can try to just read through more of my shelves, and this is kind of forcing me to do so. Kind of another book that is perhaps a similar genre is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Now this I'm very excited about. So I am pretty sure that I am following Emmy from Emmy Rossum's channel. I will link it down below, the reading order that she did for these, and I have never read this series. I'm very excited. It is a YA urban paranormal fantasy. The world is also very expansive and it's just giving nostalgia, and I'm interested in that. I do own books 1 and 2, so I will try to get through those physically and then see how I feel. I do see this series for sale quite a lot on Facebook Marketplace. So this first book introduces our main character Clary, who is 15 years old. So I am over twice the age of these characters. A lot of generosities, I think, from me have to come from this, but I just think I'm also gonna have so much fun. It'll be like reading Twilight again. And I don't think these are like sexual in any way, shape, or form, so I think it's going to be really fun, and I'm excited. So 15-year-old Clary is out and about in town, and she witnesses a demon murder by 3 shadow hunters, and she's introduced into like the syndicate that defends the city against demons, and there's a love interest, and it's going to go from there. And there's a lot of characters and a lot of world building, so I am excited to get to this and see if it is for me. Next on this list is another one that was recommended by a new friend over on Instagram, and it is The Traitor, Baru Cormorant, and this is by Seth Dickinson. This is the start to another series. I don't know why I do this to me. And it is following our main character, Baru Cormorant, who has her homeland and her peoples taken over and had violence enacted against them by the Empire, and she is going to join the Masquerade, which I think sounds like kind of like the policing or military group for the Empire, and see if she can exact her revenge from the inside out. It seems like it's going to have a lot of world building and good character development. I love a good revenge plot line. I love a strong female main character. So this one is intriguing to me because I've never heard of it as well, so I'm pretty excited to get to this one. Again, don't own this one. Will be borrowing from the library. Next on this list is one that I do own in a nice big floppy paperback, and that is Malice by John Gwynne, which is book 1 in the Faith and the Fallen Quartet. I do not own all 4 of them. I know that I am most likely going to, like, this is a 5-star prediction. I've only read one other series by John Gwynne, and that was the Fury of the Gods trilogy, or the Bloodsworn Saga trilogy. And the Fury of the Gods, the last one, was one of my top 10 reads of 2025. So I just know that I'm going to absolutely love this series and probably end up purchasing books 3 through 4. But for now, I just own book 1, and this is following a young main character named Corbin who just wants to fight for his land, and that time is going to come sooner rather than later because giants are reawakening. There's a dark war on the horizon involving angels, demons, all things that I'm interested in. So what I'm really excited about is I think this is going to be an author for me that all of his fantasy works are reminiscent of the other ones but completely separate. Like, I just get the vibe that this is going to be like John Gwynne. Like, I'm going to be like, this is an author that I'm going to feel like I'm coming home to, and this sounds so different from the Bloodsworn Saga but still has similar vibes, if that makes any sense. It's like a Brandon Sanderson or Stephen King, you know, just when they have these expansive catalogs. I'm really excited to get to more from this author. So Malice for sure, and probably soon while the weather is still kind of chilly even down here in Georgia. The next book on this list is The Bookseller by Cynthia Swanson, and this was another one recommended to me by someone over on Instagram, and also another one that I've never heard of and I don't own. This one is actually a historical fiction, and it follows a woman in the 1960s who must reconcile her reality with the tantalizing alternate world of her dreams. Nothing is as permanent as it appears. Denver, 1962. Each visit, blah, 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 blah. She loves the bookshop that she runs with her best friend. Okay, so it's following a young woman in the 1960s who is dreaming things that seem vividly real and that potentially are part of an alternate reality, I think is what we're going with. And this actually sounds really interesting and kind of like cozy and romantic. So I think this one will be good also maybe in like February or March to get to. Another one, again, I don't own this one, so I will be borrowing from the library, and excited to just include books on this list to motivate me to read outside of my comfort zone, because I don't think I ever would have picked this book up, but I think a girl that I went to high school with that I'm friends with over on Bookstagram is the one that recommended it to me, and it would be a travesty to not honor a friend's wishes. So I'm excited to get to this one as well. Next up, we have one that I do own and the second in a series, and that is The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. This is book 2 to The Stardust Thief, which I read for one of my Book of the Month challenges. I will link that playlist up on the screen somewhere so you can watch all those episodes, and another one is coming soon. We are almost done with that challenge, which is crazy to me. But this is book 2 in a series that gives kind of Arabian Nights, Aladdin vibes. There's a really great magic system. There is a female main character and her love interest. This is another one that I don't remember a ton, but I'm excited that I recorded it for a vlog because I'm just gonna go back and watch the Book of the Month video along with you guys to remind myself. I do vaguely remember there's 2 main male characters, the politics is really good, and at the end of book 1 there is a little bit of a cliffhanger that perfectly, I think, is gonna set up going into book 2. And I really enjoyed The Stardust Thief, so I'm excited to get to this one. I purchased it probably a year ago. It's sitting on the shelves right behind me, so no more excuses. We're gonna read book 2. Next on this list is a very well-loved book, probably on every social media platform that I have ever experienced, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This one I meant to get to in fall 2025. I just didn't have a chance. Also, my sister-in-law still has my copy, but I think I'm gonna save it for fall 2026. This is a book that ends up on everyone's dark academia lists. It is following a group of, I believe, classic literature college students, and this is gonna be, I think, a very dark academia for sure fall book following these characters. It's gonna be very character driven, and I think it's gonna be really good writing, but I'm worried that the pacing is gonna kind of take me out of it because I have attempted a Donna Tartt book before. I tried reading The Goldfinch when it first came out and I DNF'd it. Never, and then I also have read the first few pages of The Secret History and then just like put it back down. So I don't know if this author is for me, but this is just quintessential fall for a lot of people, and it's just a book that I need to see for myself. Next on this list, you guys have seen me talk about this book probably in 17 other videos, but it's Dracula by Bram Stoker, and if this isn't the year that I read it, I don't know when it will ever happen. I do own this book, and it is one of 2 actually vampire books on this list, but Dracula is the classic vampire story. I'm really excited to get to it, and I'm not holding myself to a ton of classics and nonfiction in 2026, but I do want to read more and more varied classics and nonfiction, especially nonfiction. We'll talk about that in another video at another time, but I'm really excited to get to Dracula. Next on this list is another one recommended by a friend of mine over on Instagram, and that is Little Rot by Akwaeke Amazie, and hopefully I am not butchering that pronunciation. This one, I'm gonna read you some of the synopsis. It is about 5 friends trying to outrun and outmatch a powerful underground world. One weekend, the elite underbelly of a Nigerian city, a breakup that starts a spiral, a party that goes awry, a tangled web of sex and lies and corruption that leaves no one unscaled. Little Rot is a whirling journey through the city's dark side, told through the eyes of 5 people, each determined to run from the twisted powers out to destroy them. This sounds right up my alley. I think the cover is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and beautiful in every way, shape, and form. And I love being able to read from BIPOC authors, especially African authors. I think just bring us to a culture that we don't get to experience enough. And I just recently read from one of my other favorite BIPOC authors, Oyinkan Braithwaite, Cursed Daughters, and also her book, My Sister the Serial Killer. Fantastic each in their own right. So reading more diversely in 2026 is also going to be at the forefront of my reading intentions. Next on this list, another one recommended by someone over on Instagram, and that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and this is book 1, I think, in a trilogy by Juno Dawson. This one I'm also going to read some of the synopsis because it's going to do a better job. At the time of their adolescence, on the eve of the summer solstice, 4 young girls, Helena, Leonie, Niamh, and Elle, took the oath to join Her Majesty's Royal Coven, established by Queen Elizabeth I as a covert government department. Now, decades later, the witch community is still reeling from a civil war, and Helena is now the reigning high priestess of the organization. Juno Dawson explores gender and the corrupting nature of power in a delightful and provocative story of magic and matriarchy, friendship, and feminism. This actually also sounds really up my alley. Another cool cover, and again, oh my god, all these covers are really good. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, it looks actually like a completed trilogy, so sign me up. Those covers look so different though. Okay, anyway, I am excited to get to this one. I will be borrowing from the library, seeing if it's for me, and then hopefully purchasing secondhand to add to the collections as a trophy if need be. Next on this list is a recent purchase, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I think this one is going to be a buddy read, and it is the first in another series. I just cannot seem to help myself, but it's following an orphan who becomes a thief under the tutelage of a very famous con artist in this fantasy city that we're in called Camor. And Locke soon becomes the leader of the most famous thieving gang, and then finds himself embroiled in a political scandal in the city that is threatening everything that he has worked so hard for. And I think this is gonna very much give the vibes of the Silver Blood Promise, and that like classic fantasy series main male character is, you know, has a traumatic history, and I think the world building is probably gonna be great. This is a very well-loved book as well, and I'm super excited to get to this one. Next up is the second vampire book that I said would be on this list, and that is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. This one I would consider a soft DNF. Now, I think I was just turned off by how slow I think the writing was compared to the movie, because I grew up watching the movie, but I've never actually read the book, and I have gotten through about 50% of the book. It's following 2 vampires, one of them who is retelling his history to a modern day journalist, and we travel back in time through all of the centuries spent as a vampire and the characters that he meets along the way. It does read very similarly to the book. To the movie. I have seen a lot of mixed reviews, but I love the movie, so I think I'll probably love the book. I do have another book that is part of the series. I don't know if I'm gonna like it enough to continue it as a series, so those might get donated, but I do have a couple copies of Interview with the Vampire, so I'm hoping that I do like it. Next on this list is The First Binding by R.R. Verdi, and this is one that I own. I was able to pick up secondhand, and I have been dying to read this. I'm gonna read the synopsis for this one. All legends are born of truths, and just as much lies. These are mine. Judge me for what you will, but you will hear my story first. I buried the village of Ampur under a mountain of ice and snow. Then I killed their god. I've stolen old magics and been cursed for it. I started a war with those that walked before mankind and lost the princess that I loved and wanted to save. Called lightning and bound fire. I am legend and I am a monster. My name is Ari, and this is the story of how I let loose the first evil. Come on. I just also find this cover to be so gorgeous and beautiful. I know that there is a second book to this. I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy or if it's a duology. Let's see if I can figure it out. Sequel. I don't know, but all I know is that I have to get to this one, and that's why it's on this 26 and 26 list. Next on this list is another one that I own and has been on my shelves for far too long, which is why it's finding itself on this list, and that is Ordinary Monsters by J.R. Miro. This is book 1 in the Talents trilogy, and it is a chonker. It's a thick book, but it's fine. It's following young, gifted children who have magical powers that find themselves all drawn together in a very found family, Victorian, fantasy, magical world. That's all I really know from the synopsis that I just read, and I can't believe this has been on my shelves for so long. I had to look up what this was about, and I still honestly could be making up what it's about. That was a very loose synopsis. I think that's pretty much it. But it's been on my shelves for too long and it has to get read. So I'm very excited to get to this one. If I do end up liking it, I will probably purchase books 2 and 3 because I do like the cover. Very minimal, very my color scheme. So we'll see. I'm very excited to get to this one. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. Hello, I took a little break to make breakfast for dinner and let my camera cool off, but editing me, triple check yourself. But I have 2 more books that I want to talk about. One of them I do think I will be reading this month, Buddy Read with Allie, which probably honestly a lot of these are going to be, but that is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I don't know if I told you guys, but I have been reading the Chronicles of Narnia for the first time and I'm having such a good time just delving back into nostalgic reads that are whimsical and meant for a younger generation, not like a YA romance type of thing, which is somehow what I usually end up on and sometimes works for me and sometimes doesn't. But Aragon is the first book in the inheritance cycle, which is about a young boy named Aragon who is a just simple farmer's son, and one day he stumbles upon a stone in the woods that ends up being a dragon egg and his life is completely changed. There are now 5 books, I believe, in the series, and we have our work cut out for us because they're pretty thick, but I just think this is gonna be so classic fantasy and have really feel good vibes that honestly I just want to read things that make me happy. We're gonna talk about the last book on this list that made me really not happy, so very excited to get to this series. The second to last book on this list before we talk about the read that I ended up finishing today is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This is book 1 in what is going to be a trilogy. From an electrifying new voice and epic fantasy comes The Raven Scholar, a masterfully woven and playfully inventive tale of imperial intrigue, cutthroat competition, and one scholar's quest to uncover the truth. So it's gonna be all of the classic fantasy that I'm looking for. Ooh, I just saw one of my friends posted a 3-star review, which was, I shouldn't have looked, but I picked it up at Barnes & Noble one day. It was a cover buy and I'm pretty excited to try it out. I mean, not every book is gonna be for everybody, but I usually give books until at least 50% unless it's really obvious to me that I'm not interested. So I think this one will be, I'm predicting it's gonna be more than a 3-star. We're gonna be ambitious here. Okay, the last book that was on this list I ended up picking up before I filmed this video and actually finishing today, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This was 814 pages of just trauma. And for me, this was traumatic to the point where it was almost unbelievable. The series of events that continues to absolutely torture this young man and then ipso facto torturing all of his loved ones around him is just, it's unthinkable. And it almost felt like this book was written for the shock value of it. I know it's really highly loved and it's won awards, but it needed to be about 400 pages less. Let's start there. This doesn't need to be 800 pages. And the book is touted as being about a group of 4 friends, which at its core and at the very beginning, yes, it is, but it turns into really just using one of the main characters, Jude, to just almost for the author to just display how horrific we can make a character's experiences be. And I think every book has value and every book is an experience and we can take something from it. And I do feel that way about this book. I just don't know that it should be as highly recommended, especially to some younger audiences. Like, this book doesn't, I mean, listen, you can feel however you want to feel, but this is a book that probably could have used some trigger warnings. It is slam full of assault, SA, physical abuse, verbal abuse, self-harm, just really, really, really horrific, violent, graphic things. And sometimes it's hard to read a book like this and say that you love it or say that you like it. I don't think either of those is true for me. I don't think I will keep this. I am glad that I finally read it because it is such a widely loved book. I just think for me, this isn't the material that I am interested in reading because it was bleak start to finish. And I'm sure that, you know, okay, a hymn to brotherly bonds and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. Hanya Yanagihara's stunning novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. That's not what this book is about. in my opinion. I don't know. It was very dark, as you've probably heard, so definitely maybe do look at some other reviews, spoiler free, and see, you know, if this is for you. But the previously mentioned trigger warnings are just a very light sprinkle of what actually is in this book. And, you know, to each his own. If you love it, if it's your favorite book, I'm happy for you for that. I am going to unhaul it, I think, and have it find its way to the next person that will hopefully have a better time with it than I did. But that's one book down for 26 in 26. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, leave me some sort of like a cool hand emoji, like the strong arm or like the heart hands, just something to give me a little bit of motivation to continue plowing through this ambitious list. Thank you again if you watched. If you are here, please give this video a like. If you have not already subscribed, please consider doing so I can get more of my nonsense about books out to more people on the internet. All right, I'm tired. Breakfast for dinner has settled. I'm gonna go pick up a book and I'm gonna go read in bed. Okay, bye.